Greetings and peace to all of you, wherever you might be watching this from. I have the honor of being joined by a great brother and friend, Brother Charles Monteith. Thank you, brother, for joining us tonight.
Appreciate it.
So, my question is, with your wealth of experience and knowledge with the world, what would you like the world of Freemasonry to learn from you? And what would be your last and honoring impression on the fraternity? And to let them know how they can improve it for the future.
For the future, I think that they need to step up their game. I think that you know, we bring all these brothers in. You know, I'm not saying they're bad guys, but you know, we've almost lost our point. Like we're supposed to be for good. We're supposed to be honorable. We're supposed to be a representation of light.
Yes. And
unfortunately, from what I've ran into, you know, there is a light, but it's very slim. It's a slim margin. I run into a lot of guys that'll say one thing and turn around and not fulfill that right. statement to you.
Being hypocrites and being prideful.
Yeah. So how can you call yourself honorable if you turn around and you tell a brother, yes, I got you, we're gonna do this, and then they just don't, and then they ignore you like you didn't exist.
Yeah, they put you on the ignore list.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden you got, like, the lodge I was with, you started out, we brought 38 guys in 2 years.
Yes. By
the end of it, there was me standing.
So that means the foundation of the entire endeavor was weak to begin with.
Yeah.
Because everyone was serving their own interests.
Yes, and that's the problem. You know, we need to start coming together. Like, I enjoy doing things with the community, especially with kids, because we've got nothing better for the fraternity, and even the fraternity aside. You know, fraternity's great. You know, we're brotherly love, all that, but we're here for something more than us.
It is. It's something. You know, it's something bigger than what most people compare it to be.
Yes. We gotta stop with this bullshit. I ran into it a lot with the fraternity, and I don't like it. I see it a lot in the media. I don't like it.
Yes.
I see it a lot in the world. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I went to sign my daughter up for lacrosse. A little example, not with the fraternity, but you know, organizations in general. I went to sign my daughter up for lacrosse. And they promoted, lacrosse sign-ups. Well, here's a little girl that was doing it last year that loved this. Loved it. And now to sign up, we can't go sign up. We have to do it online, and only the guys' sports you can actually go to and sign up and ask questions.
Right.
Well, what are you teaching these kids? You know, and if we're honorable and we're supposed to be men and not subpar, because that's what subpar people do.
Yes.
You know, and I really get tired of the subparness. You know, from Congress down to your local government, from Grand Lodge down to your local lodges, from your local firehouse down to the guy that wants to sign up but doesn't want to sign up because he's not going to be treated like he deserves.
Yes.
You know, you put in the time, the effort, you deserve some respect, and you just don't get it. And you know, unfortunately, what I'd like to see is, you know, the brothers have to actually start turning around and showing up, and you know, when you shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye.
Yes.
Understand that you know, sometimes they might need a hand. You know, and generally they're not going to call you when they need dishes done, but you know, they'll call you when they need something. And when that call comes in, it's your duty.
Yes.
To answer that call and say, how can I help you? What can I do? For example, tonight we got a phone call, do we not, about a brother that was in a car accident?
Yes.
Well, out of a fraternity of 100,000 just here in Pennsylvania, three brothers
came to his aid,
called and hunted down to find out where he was at, what's going on. 3 brothers. Now, how can we call ourselves a band of brothers when there's only 2 or 3 guys that stick together like that?
Well, he's made a very good point, because he's letting you know that you have to be men of honor, because in this life and the next, there's always a spiritual price to pay.
That's right.
For your thoughts and actions. So if you promise before God to always stand up for your fellow man through thick and thin, and you do get held accountable for that because you took God's name in vain. And I would tell you that you have to honor all of the people in your lives, no matter who they are, what race, religion, background they are. You honor them because we're all a reflection of each other, and we're walking each other home. So he has a point that it's not just about calling somebody, hey, you didn't pay your dues. I probably could have been dying right now, but you're worried about my dues.
You're $40, $100, $500, whatever the dues, $1,000, whatever your dues may be.
So we got to get rid of that corporate mentality. Oh, we just need enough bodies to run the chairs, or run the lodges, or we got to make sure we have enough money coming in, so the money gets circulated at the top and not actually being distributed to the community. How about if you want people to have a good impression of you, set up a table at your local lodge, not just over there, but outside in the schools, colleges. Tell people how you can help them and how they can be a part of your lives and how you can be a part of their lives. Go to a school.
Go to a Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
Go to a YMCA.
Sponsor like a Halloween party. Go to a teacher's classroom and tell them, do you need funding for your class? So that way when they walk by a Masonic temple, they have a feeling for you, and that ensures that you will survive for the future and are not just looking out for your own interest.
Do a fundraiser. Do a fundraiser to get a kid into a robotics program, to get a kid into a reading program, to get a kid into something else. Go out as a lodge and raise $500-$600.
So that's the next question I wanted to ask you, is that how can Freemasonry... So how do you believe that Freemasonry can help the local community? What are they lacking right now, and what do they need to do to help the people in the local communities, rather than just circulate monies within Masonic charities?
Well, number one thing that I've thought of and tried to get going, but it's an uphill battle, as you know. Mm-hmm. Here's an easy one. Go to your local schools. Raise $500 through the year. Go to your local school. Invite that local school in. Hold an art expo. Mm-hmm. From kindergarten on up. And the winner gets the $500. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can charge $5 at the door, and give one to the middle schoolers and one $100 to the other kid.
Yes.
Because not for nothing, but the next year you might get a kid that's family can't really afford a new pair of sneakers. Mm-hmm. But come that next school year, that kid knows that he's got $100 coming from whatever Masonic temple.
Yep.
Because he did a good job at art class.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be with the liberal arts. Get your lodge to show up at a local school during one of their plays. Mm-hmm. And don't go like a bunch of slobs either. Like get dressed up. Put suits on. Show them the respect. Those kids worked hard to sing that song. Now it might hurt your ears. It may hurt because they're that awful.
Yes.
But it don't matter, because them kids put that effort forth. What would it cost a lodge to do a trip to a local school for a talent show? Mm-hmm. $3 a member?
Mm-hmm. They can afford that.
Every member can afford $3.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if nothing else, when 15 guys show up in tuxedos or in dress suits and sits in the front row, and it's not a mom, a dad, an uncle,
and he brother,
that makes a big statement to the community that Freemasonry is there. We're alive.
Yes.
And these don't cost anything. This isn't, you're not going, I'm not asking you to go out and raise thousands of dollars. I'm not asking you to build schools. I'm not asking you to change the world. But if you change the thought of one kid, and influence that one kid, that you stood up, you see all them guys in the suits that stood up and applauded for me when I sang my song?
He will remember that for the rest of his life.
For the rest of his life. He will make an impression forever.
And he will come to you one day. And you will have one of the probably greatest brothers that you planted the seed, and now he came to you.
Or you might get a family member that thought about Freemasonry.
Yeah.
And saw you show up. Most Grand Lodges won't let you go out with your apron on, which is a shame. Another no-brainer? You want a no-brainer?
Yeah, pour your heart out.
Here's one for you. Me and my wife got remarried 10 years after. Mm-hmm. We got remarried in a Masonic temple. Yeah. By a master.
Yep.
In full Masonic regalia. It was the most beautiful thing that I have ever seen. The most beautiful thing that my father has ever seen, who's now 80-something years old. This man was around before TVs. Before TVs, he was around, and this is the most beautiful thing he's ever saw, this ceremony.
Right.
And we're told we can't do it no more. How do you promote family, love, and everything else if you can't allow a family to come together underneath a Masonic regalia? Yeah. That's a shame.
That's absolutely right.
These are the little things that cost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Cost absolutely nothing. That are true brotherly love, a true outreach to the community. And we let these opportunities just pass by us, day in and day out. You know, do a drive. Send 50 pencils to a school. Because there's a kid that couldn't afford that first day of school list, you know, with the Lysol wipes and the 9 rolls of toilet paper and the 45 pencils and the colored markers, plus the shoes, plus everything else.
Yeah.
That adds up, you know. It might not hurt the person that has 1, 2 kids. Or it may. You know, they're on their own road. They're where they're at in life. You know, if they have a kid and they're struggling with 1 kid, then that's not that kid's fault.
Yes. And
it shouldn't be taken out on the kid. And us saying that we get out in the community, what better way to get in the community than to the kids?
Yep, that's absolutely right.
I mean, they are our future, not? I mean, that's what I was told in the 80s when I was growing up with Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we were singing Hands Across America and We Are the World.
Yes.
It was about the kids.
Right. Because they're your future.
Well, the kids have grown up now.
They have.
And unfortunately, they're hooked on all kinds of shit on the streets that are getting pushed by Big Pharma.
Yep.
You know, and unfortunately, that takes a toll on this generation.
And he's absolutely right. It's when there's like a Halloween party or there's any event out here, what after-school programs do your local Masonic temples really have, where kids have a safe place where they can come and meet and have like a family outlet and make it a family atmosphere?
Or how many memberships have you paid for your local YMCA for these kids to be able to go there and do it if the lodge can't afford it?
Yeah, I mean,
they could have raised enough money to send 5 or 6 kids to the YMCA or the local Boys and Girls Club or the local, you know, PAL program.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you could raise enough money to send 2 or 3 of these kids.
And the kids need help today because, you know, Brother Monteith's right. There's drugs, there's different types of negative influences out here. So how can we as an organization tell us that we exist when our world and our communities are falling apart? So my next question to Brother Monty is that, how do you deal with the issue of racism in Freemasonry, where somebody might call you brother in a temple, but then they'll post stuff against your race or religion online?
Yeah.
Or how do you deal with those that don't practice what they preach, which is the general question of it?
The people that don't practice what they preach, that's been a tough one. I've been locked in quite a battle with brothers that take one oath and then take another.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they don't fight fair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to fight these guys in your own fraternity when honor is not respected.
Right. They say that, oh, it's better to ignore the problem rather than face it. So that's taking the dishonorable approach.
Yeah, and my theory with this is, how much dirt are you going to put underneath your living room carpet before it's time to pull it up and vacuum out the dirt?
Well, eventually you have to.
And that's the thing. I think Freemasonry, unfortunately, when we're talking about this aspect of it, each of the Grand Lodges need to start cleaning out their closets. We've got way too many brothers that take oaths to multiple fraternities, that take our oaths, and then, no offense to the guys that pay their dues and don't show up. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it to the brothers that pay their dues and can't show up because they got work or they got family. Mm-hmm. But the guys that pay their dues and on lodge night decide that they want to watch, you know, Chef Ramsay on Hell's Kitchen, or, you know, they want to watch Jeopardy instead. Yeah, because the lodge meetings are not providing any form of education or reflection upon the members. So if you leave, or even fellowship, like here in, you know, you're a member over in England, and I believe that they do things a little different than they do here. But here, you're not allowed to really have fellowship. Yeah. You have to come here. You have a meal, and then you have to go upstairs and take care of, you know, what we do in lodge, and then you go home. Mm-hmm. And you have to make your own thing, and you go to a local pub. So, and that's what a lot of guys do. They go to a local pub. Well, instead of going to a local pub, if we were allowed to partake in our buildings, Think of the revenue. If you got 6 guys that go to the bar, you're spending $300.
Easy.
So if you could keep that in-house, there's your dues for a YMCA for a couple kids. There's your dues for a Boys and Girls Club membership for 10 kids per lodge. There's your money to do these extra things, and you didn't have to get off your ass and fundraise a dime. Nobody had to do anything extra than partake in brotherly love and fellowship. And even to the brothers that don't partake in adult beverages, I've been to bars with them.
And you know, it's funny you mentioned that, because a lot of the guys that just pay their dues and don't show up, they got tired of the whole thing. So they just maintain their memberships and take their own independent approach to how they view Masonry.
Which is, you know, if I got this sticker on the back of my car, I might not get a parking ticket. I might not get a speeding ticket.
Exactly.
You know?
Just maintain the membership.
Yeah.
That's it. It's nothing more than that.
That's what it comes down to.
Because it's either that, or they got tired of seeing everything and they're like, I'll just do my own thing on the side.
Yes. Now the other question you asked is one that particularly goes up my ass is
the racism one.
Racism. I'm white. I'm ginger. I was born non-practicing Protestant. Grew up Roman Catholic with my aunt. Attend Episcopal Church with my wife, which we've now switched over to Lutheran. I see a lot of issues with this, especially when it comes to race. I don't. You need to stop the bullshit. Whoever's watching, you need to stop the bullshit. See this guy? See me? We may not be the same skin tone. We're in the same race. We're going to the same place.
Yeah.
He's a Muslim. I'm a Christian. We're going to the same place. None of us will be here at the end of this. Black, white, Muslim, Christian, it's bullshit. You need to stop it. You need to get together. But as far as the racism goes, we got cut off, so I apologize and kind of lost my train of thought. But as far as the racism goes, it needs to stop. I don't care if you're black, white, or purple. If you've worked hard and you've done what you're qualified to do to stand in our East, then Godspeed.
You know, he's right, because Masonic values in today's divided world can really teach people that where else in the world can you come together and love one another? Doesn't matter if I could be a Muslim, he can be a Christian. Doesn't matter about the race or where we come from. Our values as human beings teach us that in this short time that we've been given from Almighty God, to honor the people in our lives that are most meaningful to us, and not to fall into the traps of disunity, because the agents of chaos exist in all race, religions, and groups. Their job is to cause disunity. Don't let them win.
Yep.
And unfortunately, some of them exist in fraternal groups as well. So, you know, our job is to be...
Unfortunately, I think some of them hide in there.
Exactly. So our job is to be the balance, to teach people that, you know what, we have to do the right thing no matter what. We're not going to hide behind certain things thinking, oh, you know, I have a RW next to my name, or I have a 33 or PM next to my name. What is any of that going to do if my eyes don't open up in the morning? Because Almighty God is going to tell me, what good did you do for yourself and your fellow man and your family while you were there? Were you too busy worrying about protecting a number next to your name, or a title, or a material possession, while you were like, oh, let's just ignore the problem, it'll go away? But at the end, nothing really goes away. There's a price you have to pay for everything. Always do what's right whenever you can.
And don't kick the can down. Don't keep kicking the can. If you have an opportunity to make a change and be the change, be the change.
So now I would like to ask Brother Monteith is that, hypothetically speaking, let's say he was in a top position, and how would he be able to revolutionize this fraternity going into the digital age, and how most people rather just stay home or play video games or watch Netflix rather than come to lodge because the spiritual values and the education that they're looking for is not being taught there. So how I'm taking my independent approach on starting a YouTube channel.
And a good job with that too, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you. So how would you recommend people take their own individual approach and start bringing Masonry back to the individualism and not in a hierarchy where you have to get somebody's permission before you can even do anything.
Well, I've learned one thing. Learned a lot of things in this fraternity.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I have learned.
You're a free man. You have the right to pour your heart out. Let them know how you feel.
I'm a free guy. We were trying to do some things in our district, and they weren't real happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Our higher ups.
Okay.
They weren't real happy with it.
Higher ups. Only for this life.
Yeah. So we had to take another approach. So what I had to do is I actually started a charity team.
Okay.
And what we did is we here in Pennsylvania, we're not allowed to have alcohol at any Masonic function. So if I was to hold a fundraiser, I wouldn't technically be allowed to have, alcohol beverages.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we're in a society that people like to get out. They like to have drinks.
Okay.
And I won't fault anybody for it. I enjoy drinking. Me and Coors Light, we were born the same year, 78. It's a good year. Check it out. But you have to allow these things. People relax. For one, the 1 year we were able to raise almost $10,000 for a childhood disease that is terminal.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, I'm not going to say the disease or the anything like that, but essentially the child gets Alzheimer's at a very young age, maybe 5, 6. So that's as far as they learn, and then it's a slow, deterioration until the finalization.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no research being done. These families and are
they need help.
They're told that your child's going to die, and get ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that tears the families apart.
It does.
So maybe dad starts drinking, maybe mom starts drinking. Let's not all put it on the guys. But maybe mom starts drinking, and then the family gets torn up.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of this crisis, the family gets torn up, and it's not because anybody's a bad person. It's because God only puts you in situations you can handle, but it's because you think you can't handle it. You just go too far with it.
Yes.
And then it becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it's a disease because I personally don't believe in that. But it becomes a problem, and then there's a fight, and now mom and dad aren't on the same page. So now does the kid get the right treatment?
So
all of a sudden the
you
kid
want
passes.
them to be more involved in the community.
You have to be. You have to get out in the community. The number one thing, what we're here for, is for the community.
Mm-hmm.
We stay locked up in our temples, and we go to our meetings, and we have our extra meetings, and ritual. But what's ritual if
you're not practicing?
Nobody's around to do it.
And if you're not practicing what you're saying you're doing.
Yeah.
So now I would like to ask you is, let's say that this is your last day on Earth. What message would you give to the Masonic Brotherhood? Just, the floor is yours. You pour your heart out to them.
I'd have to say it's in the brothers. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll go to lodge, and they're your brothers there. They are. If you're in a good lodge, they'll have your back 100%.
Sure.
But when it comes down to it, it's not about the fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys, we're not that important. It's about the family.
It's about family.
It's about the kids, and I keep going back to that, but that's what I believe. Our future. We believe as Freemasons, you die twice. Once when God takes you, and once, I don't mean that finger, but once when sorry about that, but once when your name's said last. And that goes through the families. My 28th grandfather is King Edward Pendergrass II, King of England. I want my crown back. Just kidding. But no, he is. But that name still lives on. I don't know him, but that name still lives on. Will my name live on? If I do my job, it will.
Mm-hmm.
And the fraternity's there. They love you. They will support you.
Sure.
But once those brothers that you were with are no longer in that lodge, you're a ghost. So, unless you're a past master, then they'll read you out every year. But if you just put in your work and you're not looking to be a master, you just put in the work and put in the work and put in the work, there is no reward.
So he's absolutely right, because not everyone is designed to be a master. Everybody has a different niche or quality about them that they can prosper in.
Some people work computers, some people work hammers.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean that makes them lesser Masons if they want to focus on, let's say, education, or if they want to focus on something else. Not everyone, the one-size education system of the West, that does not fit everyone. Everyone has a different quality about them that makes them who they are. So they have to focus on what's their quality, and they should be given as much credit as anybody else. Don't just scram them to the back just because they didn't meet your requirements of what a Mason should be, because that's between an individual and his creator.
It's its own path. I mean, we say that, and they say it's a cliche. It is what you make of it. It is what you make of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's your own path. I mean, you're going to walk what you want to walk. You're going to talk what you want to talk.
Right. So how about
be careful calling yourself a Mason and going out there and not being honorable at all times.
So how about the fact that they have that mentality where if they want to associate with you, they'll associate themselves with you, but if they want to put themselves on put you on the ignore list, they will do that too. How about the fact of being dishonorable and turning your backs on a brother?
Oh yeah, like I said, I watched 38 brothers get pushed out. And
they just ran them out.
Yeah, and right now, whatever entity it was that was backing up the powers that pushed out those 38 new guys, they don't know nothing about it. They're trying to learn it, and they got so turned off by the members of the past and certain factions that they were disgusted with it.
Yeah.
Disgusted.
And see, that's what I would tell all Masons or non-Masons that are watching this video is, don't wait for anybody's approval to tell you who your worth is and what you value.
Do it.
You do it yourself.
If you don't, who is?
Exactly.
If you don't step up, who is?
Take the initiative to build your own independent platform. Put your voice out there. Tell people how you want to improve, not just the Masonic Brotherhood, but your communities and the world and your families in general. What kind of world are you leaving behind for them? Right? So if all these organizations exist in the world and people are out here struggling with drugs and struggling with poverty and struggling with family issues, how can we exist and tell people that we exist, but there's no impact that's being done in the community? So I will let Brother Charles fill in as well on that.
Yeah, there's the lodge I was with sat in the community for almost 90 years.
Okay.
Community of, what do they have up there? Maybe 2,000 people on a good year, on a good census.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they came out of that temple in them 90 years.
Mm-hmm. Just want to keep everything inside.
Yeah, I got there and everybody asked if it was a boarded up YMCA.
and see that's what it is. If you want to get rid of all the conspiracy mindsets that people have, don't just keep everything in a closed house. You have to put everything out there. You have to be powerful in all that you do. Don't just be secluded in a place and be like, oh, why do they think that we're devil worshippers? Because you never made the effort to sit down with them and get to know your communities.
Call them up. Take a parade in the 4th of July if you're in America. If you're not in America, whatever parade you got in that local town, if your lodge isn't a part of it, you've missed an opportunity.
Or set up a table in your local school. It's like what Brother Monteith said earlier, is that imagine that kid who you sponsored and he knows that, oh, they were the ones who stood up and clapped for me. Imagine his self-confidence for the rest of his life. And imagine what a good quality human being, not just even a potential brother, but a good quality human being, because he knew that he had the power to succeed in his life, and those that had the effort to come up to him and congratulate him.
He tried for something so hard, and he got up there in front of people. And as a kid, these kids are scared to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he got up and he performed.
Yeah.
And then there was 15 guys that nobody knew that were dressed to the T's.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's theater.
So now
you go to the theater, you dress for the theater.
So now I would like to ask Brother Monteith, is that, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on community, education, sticking up for each other, or is it just about just running a system where nothing really gets done at the end of the day, or for your communities in the long run? So I
you
would
mean like in Freemasonry?
Yep. So I would like for him to wrap up this video with this question.
In Freemasonry, it's it's a long answer, but I'd say all the above. Number one, you got to get out there in the communities. You got we got to stop this where we can't go out there and wear our garb. Let people know that you're a Freemason. You know, we should be allowed to go to a local community day and stand there with, even if they're just white leather aprons and they're not all fancy, just so people recognize that and put an association with the type of guys that they're speaking with at that community day. Go out, like I said, go to YMCA's. You know, go to the Boys and Girls Clubs. The Boys and Girls Clubs do a lot for the kids. You know, unfortunately for me, I was lucky enough that I was able to meet some of these people in this association, and I will tell you that these people really care about the kids. And if that could be bound with Freemasonry, I think that would be the key to it, because they get in the community, they're looking at the future, they're looking about the neighborhoods, they take the kids out and have them do cleanup days in the neighborhoods. And when I say I work in some bad neighborhoods, they're bad neighborhoods, but they still take them out and they clean up an empty lot, even if it's once a year. But they teach these kids that ability. You know, we as lodges don't have the money or the resources to house these kids and do this. But we do have is the ability to be able to raise and sponsor kids. And I would say to not do that is a disservice to the fraternity, your community, and yourself. Now, if you don't have the means to do it, that's fine. Help organize it. Help run it. Make the contacts. To get a hold of any of these organizations is one phone call. Maybe 3 Google searches if you're not real good at searching on the internet. You could literally push a microphone and say, find my local YMCA. Find my local Boys and Girls Club. Find my local PALs. You know, find my local community outreach center. Find my local homeless shelter. You know, go make sandwiches. But I think, you know, homeless is a great thing to do, but I think that the lodges need to start focusing on their future. And that's where the kids are. These are organizations set up. They're well ran. They've got good people in place. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's help the people that have mastered their skill. They're the master of what they do. We're the master of what we do. So let's do what we do and help them. And that's an outreach to the community, to the individual, to the kid, to the family, to the uncle, to the aunt. You know, imagine your lodge helps this kid out, and they're sitting at Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or Easter dinner, and they're telling a story, and Uncle Billy Joe Bob's sitting across the table. And Uncle Billy Joe Bob just happens to be a Mason, but he ain't told nobody. He's been a Mason for 30 years and hasn't told anybody. Imagine the pride in Uncle Billy Bob Joe's heart when he hears that his brothers have stepped up and sponsored his niece or his nephew to get into a YMCA.
That's right.
Because maybe Uncle Billy Bob Joe doesn't come from that town. He's in another lodge in another town. But he's at dinner and he hears this. Tell me the warmth in his heart on that day. Is that not worth your effort?
It is. Now,
and then as far as the reach out to the stepping into the 21st century, which Pennsylvania has a major issue with doing, like come from the state house down to the fraternities. We've got a major issue with realizing the 21st century. People are busy. We work longer hours than ever before. We make less money than we ever have.
And the costs are higher.
I mean, growing up, if I have 4 children and my wife, so there's 6 of us. That was a small family in the 70s. In the 70s, you could have one guy working, the dad that could work and support the whole family, 2 cars, and still do a retirement. I have 6. I work 2 jobs, my wife works a job, and we sacrifice our family to pay Uncle Sam to pay everything else. It's not fair. We need to get out of that. We need to start focusing on family, start focusing on what's real in the world. Because like he said, when the time comes and the Reaper comes for us, and he's coming for all of us, he don't care how much money you got. He don't care if you got 10 kids, 2 kids, or if you got 19 cats.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to take you. And when he takes you, when you stand in front of God and you're asked to be judged, what have you done with your time?
Yes.
Have you improved the world?
Yes.
Have you inspired at least one kid
Or
to be a better man? Because the world's getting scarier. And if we don't make better men out of the kids today, we're all screwed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely correct. It's absolutely correct.
Sorry, I'm a little more blunter than Brother Solomon here. He's the softer touch. I'm a little rougher.
Well, that's the balance, right? Order out of chaos, right? There has to be that balance, yin and yang. So now I would like to ask Brother Monteith is, what about the issue of pride within Freemasonry that some past masters just can't seem to let go? Or if anybody else that's full of pride and they don't want to get involved, if anything that's like not related to Freemasonry. It's like you said, you got to get involved in the communities.
Yeah.
Why do you let your pride get the best of you? So the issue of pride.
I know this could get me in hot water, but
You're a free man and
I
you
don't
have
really
the
care.
right to speak.
To be quite honest with you, because I'm an honest speaker, and I when I tell you something, I mean it.
Go ahead.
They can blow it out their ass.
Mm-hmm.
From the top purple down to the last past master. Blow it out your ass. I mean, if you go to these business meetings and you do this and you do that,
Mm-hmm.
you want to always be introduced when you come in as a past master,
Yeah.
past high priest, or
Yeah.
past grand commander, or past grand master. It's past. Much like the career, it's past. It's over.
Mm-hmm. Let it go and let the new guys be able to reform.
Take their ideas in. We're
Mhm.
not all dumb. We're not. I mean, we've got some new guys, and they're pretty dumb. But, my generation's cool. Nah, seriously, like, you gotta listen to the other generations. Just because you've been making apple pie the same way for 90 years doesn't mean it's still selling. You know what I mean? Like, you sometimes you gotta change up to what it is today to fit today. And, I would like to see the Grand Lodges at least my Grand Lodge, actually learn how to use the internet.
Yes.
Because the system we have is brand new as it is, just out, hot off the press.
Yes.
I think AOL has maybe surpassed them at this point.
Right.
Their system sucks. I think that they need to start getting into the real world. I mean, this is the world we're living in. Internet, we can talk to you by sitting right here.
So he's making great points about that, and now I would like to ask him any closing remarks that he has for his personal Masonic experience, for the future of Freemasonry, and what he wants to see happen within his lifetime.
I want to see change. I want to see a lot of change. But I don't want to see our traditions go to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more Black American or Black masters. I want to see a lot of more Hispanic masters. I want to see Muslim masters. I want to see white masters.
Sure.
I want to see.
That's what we're about.
I want to see Freemasonry come full circle. Unfortunately, we are on a pendulum, and we happen to be in the part of the pendulum that's on a downtick.
Mm-hmm.
I believe our fraternity is shrinking, and I believe it's not unfounded or not. I think it's what was before us has done to cause this downswing, and that's a shame because, like I said earlier, we can't keep kicking bad people under the rug and hiding them and protecting them
and kick the good people out.
And kicking, and not even kick him out. I mean, I've seen him ran out with pitchforks and torches.
Well, he's right. I mean, either you're with the clique or you're not. I mean, and that's,
if you're with the clique, you're good. And I was with some cliques, so I'm somewhat good. But I didn't like seeing some of them guys just walk out of there.
Yeah, but he's absolutely right. Why? Because you have this thing where you promise to be friendly and be a brother to all those that come before you. But if you have...
It shouldn't be a mask. It should be real.
And yeah, it should be real. I mean, but if you have an agenda where you're saying that, okay, oh, I'm in a competition with him. I got to get more degrees than him, or I got to get to the, I got to become a higher up before him.
I need more degrees.
Then that means you're in a competition with your brother. You don't have true love for them, especially when they call you, and there's like a true concerns or true issues. But you find it easier to say, oh, we can ignore the problem. No, you're gonna get held accountable for that.
Yes.
If not in this life, the next one for sure. So there's a price to pay for everything. So he's absolutely right. I agree with him. You have to be true to who you are and not wear a mask and not just be happy around certain brothers and then try to run other people out. So you're dishonoring what this whole brotherhood has started about. So we have to be the change that we wish to see in the world.
You knelt or you kneeled during your degrees, and I only kneel in front of one person or one being, and that would be God. It was really hard for me to kneel in front of another man and take an obligation. When you take it. Don't take that obligation and then decide to join, space cogronauts and go against everything you said in this obligation.
Yeah.
Or don't take another obligation and come here and kneel in front of us and take another obligation stating the exact opposite of your prior one.
Yeah.
Because that's dishonorable all the way around. And when we get men like this, then unfortunately the world gets worse.
Right. So yeah, I mean, this was an amazing interview, and I want to
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want to thank Brother Monteith for pouring his heart out, not just for the benefit of the Masonic Brotherhood, but for humanity in general. So, and he has the right as a free man to express himself. And as a concluding statement, this video and all of my videos and any statements made or opinions expressed they're our own and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or opinions.
No.
They're our own opinions because we make the effort to put these videos out and we care. And we have the right as free men to do so. So I thank you for watching, and I wish a blessed day and a month and year to all of you wherever you are. Thank you.
And if I'm lucky enough, maybe you'll have me back.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for having me, Solomon.
Yeah, bro, no problem.
Appreciate it, my brother.
Yep.